Hi, everyone. Welcome to Variety Talk Live. I'm your host, Linda Leak, and welcome to February. We are still in this fabulous month, and I call it fabulous because I always enjoy celebrating Black history. So, thank all of you for joining us as we continue in our series of celebrating the greatest. And we especially appreciate your support with Trina Parks, the wonderful Trina Parks, that was the very first African American female to have joined in with Sean Connery on the 007 films. And she had an awful lot to share with us in terms of her background with ballet and dancing and all of the things that she not only brought to the screen, but brought to other students as well. And that's what we're here to talk about today. And I am so emotional because I feel like I want to cry again. You know, this is so touching at this point in time that we're in right now. As I mentioned last week, with all of the civil rights bills being dismantled as we speak. And so it is a touching subject. I know my parents and my grandparents worked extremely hard to make sure that we had a proper celebration of this month, to make sure that those civil rights were put into place because of who we are and where we need to be as African Americans. So we particularly and especially celebrate this month in February 2025 as we move forward during this very historical time. And so with that being said, before I introduce my guest, I would like to pay special amends and condolences to the family of Jerry Butler. Speaking of historical people, one who has given us the very precious song, Your Precious Love, and Ain't Understanding Mellow, along with many others. Brenda Lee Edgar, who has sang with him, has joined us many times on our shows. And so we give condolences to Brenda, Jerry's family, and everyone who loved him so much and who could appreciate that music that was brought. It's timeless, it's ageless, and it certainly goes down in history. And so we move forward, and we are very happy to have someone celebrate with us who is, by the way, a Chicago native. He's a Chicagoan, and so he's a homeboy. And we're happy to have him join us. Speaking of history, he has done an awful lot in the entertainment business, as well as as well as teaching. And we'll get into that with his acting classes. But just to start, any of you who are familiar with the film Family Business, he's well known for that. He's an American actor who has attended school in Michigan, but he was born in Chicago. And his recent, he's played in Coach Carter, he's played in Inception, The Naked Gun, Contact, Queens of Christmas. His television credits include Shameless, Grey's Anatomy, The Last Tycoon, Fresh Prince. Must we go on and on? And I think that just gives you an idea of who we're speaking of, and that's why we're celebrating him today. So without further ado, we'll get into it a little bit more deeper as we go forward, but I would proudly like to introduce Mr. Carl Gilliard. Welcome to the show, Carl.
Linda Leak. What's happening? I know Trina Parks.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, she lives in Atlanta, and I'm trying to figure who is a bigger James Bond fan than me, and I'm coming up empty. I think I'm the biggest James Bond fan that ever lived. If it weren't for my wife, I'd watch movies every day. In fact, I was just watching Spectre the other day. She was in Diamonds Are Forever.
Right. There you go. There you go. So, wow. So this is really important to you then to actually
absolutely
be a fan of James. And how did you and Trina know each other coming up through the industry, or did you meet in Atlanta?
No. Well, okay. So she lives in Atlanta, and we have a mutual friend who I cannot remember who the mutual friend was, but somebody who knew that I was here and that she was here. And then the funny thing is that we're already Facebook friends. So we were connected on Facebook, but I didn't, you know how that is. And
No,
so this person, I want to say it was Tico Wells, but I don't remember who it was. And they connected us, and so we started talking on Facebook a little bit. And then I was at a dinner party recently, and she was there. This is like
okay.
maybe a month ago.
I knew that that had to happen because that's a
Hmm.
story we're going to talk about. Really, is the new Black Hollywood right there in Atlanta, and
Hmm.
every is, I hate to use the word migrating, but everybody, and there's nothing wrong with the word migrating, but so many African American actors and entertainers are just heading down there and supporting Tyler Perry with his beautiful new studios. And why not? For heaven's sakes,
Right.
why not? So it's great to see everyone just kind of, come together down there and make it happen. And so now you're still back and forth though. You still are in LA and you're in
Well, I live in Atlanta, but I guess you could say that I'm bi-coastal in a sense because I have been back to LA. I've been here 2 years, and I have been to LA 3 or 4 times for work. So, I
Mhm.
will go back. In fact, the family business is shot in Los Angeles. So,
And let's start there because there's so much to talk about. And normally we go back to childhood and we build all the way up. But
right.
people know and love the family business. And let's just
Yeah.
start there. How did you get involved with that?
I bribed the producers. No, I'm kidding. Well, that's actually kind of not true. True. Well, this business is so strange, how work comes. And for this particular job, it was, Trey Haley, who's the director, and Indy Brown Jones, who is the showrunner, executive producer. I've known them for, 25, 30 years. And they formed Tridestin, which is the company that does the family business back in the late 90s. And they've kind of fiddled around and they've done some independent film. And they kind of fell backward into television through a deal with Carl Weber, who happens to be one of my frat brothers, but I digress slightly. So when this character came up in season 2, I get a call from Trey Haley and he says, "Hey, man, we got something for you." It was no audition. He just said, "Hey, man, come on and do this role." And I didn't know at the time they asked me. I'm thinking, oh, it's just one episode. I'll be done. And it was a recurring. I mean, I've done 30 episodes of the show. So, yeah, that's how it happened. And it started, I don't know what year it was, 2017. It was season 2. So I don't know whenever that was. So
Wow. So that was
mhm.
right pre-pandemic, which was a
It
good time.
was pre-pandemic, definitely. So
Yeah.
19, 18. Yeah, because we definitely shot during the pandemic as well. And during those times, that's when I still lived in Los Angeles. Carl Weber has all these homes he has in Los Angeles. He uses these homes to shoot too. And he quarantined us, the entire cast and crew, in his homes. It was kind of
Really?
cool, actually. Yeah.
Wow. What a
He did that for
story.
2 seasons. Right.
Oh my goodness, what a story.
Yeah.
So you played the role of Brother Minister, and
Yes.
what was that like? That character, I would say, has a lot to do with you. I mean, I don't know you very, very well, but I know you enough to know that you are a man of character and you
Yeah.
are a very upstanding person. And
Thank
I
you.
to find out, exactly how that felt to fit your character within that character. Tell us a little
Well,
bit about it.
I don't want to get too much into the weeds, but I am every character that I play. Every character that I play, has some resonance in my own personal humanity and truth. So, um, this character, in a nutshell, in my mind, was Louis Farrakhan meets Vito Corleone. So if you're a Godfather fan, you know Vito Corleone. You know that his even though he's a criminal, he has a sense of decency and order about him and family.
Mhm.
And that's that part of brother minister. And he's also a cleric and a leader in the Muslim house in the Muslim community. And so that's the other part. That's the Farrakhan part. So he's wise, he's measured, and so that's what I brought to the character. And there are elements of my personality and character that are also very I guess wisdom, but it's through my maturity because I wasn't always very wise. You know what I'm saying, Linda?
That
Um,
comes with age
but
for all.
yeah, yeah. But I mean, at this point in my life, I do have a level of wisdom through life experience, and so I brought that to the character. I had a lot of fun playing him too, you know. That character was very good for me, so I'm glad it happened. I'm blessed.
Yes, what a unique voice you have. Speaking of characters, where did that voice take you in terms of all of your everything that you've done? Because there's countless television, film, uh, stage plays. What do you recall the most being the most significant um, uh, opportunity that you received because of your voice?
You know, let me put it to you this way. I mean, everybody has their special sauce in this business, you know. And I think that my voice helps me. Sometimes it doesn't help me. It depends on what the role is. So if a role requires a sense of authority and gravitas, and I'm in the right age range and look the part, I think that I have a shot. You know, I'm always going to have a shot at those, at authority roles and roles that kind of bespeak and kind of has a gravity to them. And so I think that's where the voice comes in handy. But sometimes it's not so handy. For example, I like to do more voiceovers, and I have what I would call a signature voice. So, you
Ew.
know, typically, you know, the people who have signature voices who work in voiceovers are stars. You know, like Morgan Freeman and Keith
Hey,
David and you know these guys. They're stars, right? Well, I'm not quite a star yet. So yet. But I have a feeling that once I get to that point, I'm going to do a lot of voiceover because now, you know, I'm a recognizable celebrity, and now you hear my voice, you know, it's Carl Gilliard, right? So
mm-hmm.
I'd love for it to happen sooner. I want to do more voiceovers, but it hasn't quite happened yet. But I think that
Well,
it.
I would beg to differ. I would love to call you a star. Okay.
Well, you know what I
And
mean. I mean, thank you,
I,
but yeah, you know.
yeah, sure. Okay, you may not have been this or that, but you were certainly that. And that's why we are celebrating you today.
Thank you,
A
Linda.
boy,
Appreciate it.
humble from Chicago. Absolutely. And it takes an awful lot to have the courage and the integrity and all that it takes to go through this lifestyle as an African American male in
Mhm.
Hollywood and trying
Right.
to, and that is why we're celebrating you today, because you had to knock on some doors, and some doors that may have opened just like a couple of centimeters, and others
Mhm.
that just flung wide open.
Right.
And so that took an awful lot. And in fact, if you can right now, we don't want to stress you out, but if you can recall a certain, for instance, for the younger ones who are coming up,
Hmm.
that took place, that speaking of DEIs, where you literally had to fight your way in there. And it wasn't anything about a quota. It wasn't anything about, oh, we have to have an African American male. But it was all about the fact that you got in that door and you had to push your way in there. Can you recall any of those instances that you can share with those who are going to have to go through that again for the next 4 years?
Um, well, as I was, let me put it to you this way. This is a business where you really have to believe in yourself and you have to be willing to commit yourself to train to become proficient at the craft. It's hard for everybody, okay? And I don't think it has anything to do much, especially in our business anyway, with who's in the White House. In fact, you know, as I reference the years I've been in the business, when I started in the 80s, there were very few, you know, black directors and producers, certainly nobody in executive uh, positions who could greenlight certain productions for black folk. Today, it's different. It's a lot different than that. So, I mean, there are countless black directors, countless black producers, you know, black stars, you know, and because of, you know, streaming and the way that distribution happens now with content, there's a lot more opportunity than it was in like 86, for example, when all you had was Spike Lee and Robert Townsend, and you had a few people who were kind of hovering around that time as well, you know? So to that degree, you know, it's a hard and tough business, even with all of these opportunities. And then the other thing is, and it's what I teach in my class, you know, you should be building your own tribe. You should be making your own content. You should be forging your own stories and telling your stories and learning that technology, including AI, learning how to use a camera, your phone, if it's just that. It's a tough business. And so I don't, bemoan others who want to go this road. I don't even look at it from a political perspective, because ain't nobody gonna close the door that God opened for me. Nobody. I don't care who you are. It's just not gonna happen. So, yeah. And then when I look at it, back when I back off of it, as I said, the opportunities today, oh, try being in 1987 and look at what was out there. Just go look and compare that to today. Today, all these
That's
black stars. I can't go anywhere without a black. We got a freaking black Captain America. Can you believe that? Anthony Mackie. What?
that's why I asked you that question because it is amazing.
Yeah.
Far we have come from the very first African American female James Bond co-actor, all the way up to the family business, all the way
Mhm.
up to so many African American channels, so many
Right.
platforms, so much product, so much content to be able to place on those channels. So thank God for live streaming. Thank God for technology and all of the other things that have been introduced that have made it so much easier for African Americans to get in the door and open up and be able to tell their stories. And with that being said, we're going to take a quick station break. And everybody, you're watching Variety Talk Live. We're sitting in with Mr. Carl Russo Gilliard, and we'll
You
be
got the
back.
middle name right, girl. Rousseau. Hey.
We'll see you in a second. Hi, everybody. We're back. You're watching Variety Talk Live. I'm your host, Linda Leak. And again, we're in with the crazy, the funny, the one, the only Carl Gilliard. And I'll tell you, I appreciate that, Carl. Thanks so much.
I'm sorry. Put my
For
guns
all
away.
the
Put my guns away.
information,
Yeah.
for all And so, for those who are, who've been sleeping up under a rock, even with all of the work that you've done, let's give them a little background on yourself and your family life, and tell us a little bit about marriage and children and what that's been like throughout your career.
Oh no, we don't have that much time.
Well,
All
I
right.
know Tanya is a lovely lady, and I've had not had the opportunity to meet her, but
All
definitely
right.
have had to, to read about her and see things on different postings. And it looks like you guys make a great couple. So, and you've been together for quite some time. What's the secret? Because every, inquiry minds want to know.
So Latoya and I've been married for 10 years.
10. Okay. All right.
Yes, 10
Okay.
years. And I don't really know a secret. I would only say that I believe that the recipe for successful marriage is to allow individuals to be who they are, yet you are still one. You're always working toward oneness and covenant in marriage. You should be pursuing the same goals. You want the same things, but yet you're individuals. So I think the main thing, if you're going to get married, one of the main things is simply to decide and agree that neither one of you are going to ever give up on the other person.
Well, that's very positive. Is she in the industry?
Yes,
Oh,
yes, yes.
what?
But I've been asked that before, And though I do think that it does have some, there's some merit to being in the same industry. I don't think it matters. I think that she could be a doctor, she could be, an accountant or whatever. But if she's good with what I'm doing and wants to support and help me there, which I believe in the biblical mandate of helping your husband, and that's part of his purpose. So we should choose women who are in line with that and keep the ones out who aren't. Um, that's really the thing. We could both be actors or both be in entertainment, but just not support each other. Maybe one's having a really down time, not doing well. And so you don't believe the person's going to ever bring it back. And so you got to get out of there because there's not enough money coming in. You know what I'm saying? So, it just really depends on the person, more so in my view, than the occupation. So we've been married 10 years. Between the two of us, we have, I guess so, six, including bonus children. I've got two children from my first marriage, and they're both adults. And I have a grandson through my oldest daughter, but then I have a bonus daughter who has three children, so they're my grandchildren too. So that's pretty much it in a nutshell. And my first two marriages, I just, on a certain level, I wasn't mature enough to be able to handle it, and they went by the wayside. And then on another level, I chose wrongly and did not consider what I was doing for a living when I married that person, and it crashed. But that's my responsibility. So I take responsibility for that.
It's all a learning experience, so
Yeah,
there's
yeah.
nothing wasted. We're
Hmm.
all here for experiences, so that's what it's all about.
Hmm.
You know. So tell us a little bit, because what's really important, I mean, Grey's Anatomy. I'm trying to recall. Why don't you share with us that was one of my favorites. That's why I want to ask you this question. Was there one episode, or were there many episodes with Grey's
Oh,
Anatomy?
Grays.
Mm-hmm.
When I did Grays, it's hilarious. So I did Grays, and that particular episode, they pretty much cut me out of it. I'm in it. I went on. I had, I think, two scenes or three, and they cut out the two main scenes I was in. So you could see me in there, but I looked like kind of a glorified extra. But I was on the show for 2 or 3 days. I don't know. So that happens in these shows. Funny story about the episode I did, which I do not remember. I think it was season 11. I don't remember what season it was, but in the episode, there was this woman who had lost her daughter. Her daughter died or something like that. And they spent so much time on her getting her cry right. She's crying. It was a really pivotal, heavy scene. And when the show came on, it was gone. They wore her out emotionally that whole episode.
Oh
That
wow!
scene was gone.
Oh wow!
So one thing about appearing on these shows and these one-offs is you don't know. You don't know if, they're gonna keep some of it, keep all of it, or totally cut you out. In an episode of CSI Vegas, it was only one scene. They totally cut the thing out. Cut the
Wow!
whole thing out. I'm not in the show.
You never know what's going to be left on the cutting
Yeah.
room floor. You're so right,
Yeah.
and you have to love what you do, because you
Yeah.
never, end of the day, what's what. And speaking of which, what is your goal at the end of the day? I know about, which I can't wait to talk to you about, 2 degrees, and that
Mhm.
being your baby project, and we'll get to that later. But I'd like to find out what your personal goals are, as you are moving through this acting career. What would you like to
Mhm.
see?
Well, I certainly plan to work in television for the rest of my life on some level. Um, I am producing and consulting a lot more, so looking forward to developing and producing my own content for sure. And I'll always be a hired gun on some level, guest starring multiple episodes, episodic, and I'll do films. And I do see a future as an acting coach. So that's also what I'm doing now as well, and I intend to grow that business.
And that seems to be a common denominator with, so far, many of the entertainers that we are speaking with. And that's so wonderful, because
Hmm.
you can, I mean, and I'm even finding on the internet and social media all these master classes being, introduced by so many people, so many celebrities, that enable the youth, which is something that they weren't able to do,
Right.
even 10 years ago. and what an opportunity to be able to go directly to someone like yourselves, and get one-on-one training like that, direct training, and to be
Hmm.
able to go out there and push it a whole lot further. So
Hmm.
I think that's extremely positive. Now, and speaking of coaching, you have an acting uh, company right now, correct?
Yes.
Or okay, so can you want to share a little bit about that?
It's a Carl Gilliard Actors Intensive here in Atlanta. We meet in Norcross, Georgia at Lucky Johnson Studios. Lucky Johnson has his own company, and he's Tyler Perry's cousin, is who he is. And in fact, if you saw the documentary, the name of the documentary is his mom's name. Come on. Anyway, he's all through that documentary. Why can't I remember the name of that
It's
documentary?
gonna be
I've seen
o'clock
it 2 or 3 times. Say what?
it's gonna come to you at 3 o'clock in the morning
I
in your
know.
dream when you're rolling over. That's
Yeah.
how it goes.
Is his mom's name Baby. And I've seen the documentary 2 or 3 times. It's really
Okay,
good. If you have Amazon, you should go check it out. It's very good. It's Tyler Perry's documentary. It's very
okay.
good.
And it's
Hmm.
brother, right? Tyler
Hmm.
Perry's brother.
It's Tyler Perry's cousin. That's Lucky. That's where I'm at his facility. So and then I have a Wednesday in-person class and I have
Okay,
a Tuesday virtual class. And the
okay.
primary formula for the class is, we do scene study, we do exercises. I do private coaching with many of them when they have auditions, and I bring in special guests. So I
Mm-hmm.
bring in, a lot of my friends who are, on series and doing different things. I bring them in. And the whole idea is to not just for them to hear the experiences of other people outside of myself, but also hopefully to, create a relationship for them to have after they leave. And many of
Mm,
my actors have forged their own personal relationships with some of my guests. And that
mm-hmm.
gives them, other mentors and people who can help them navigate the industry. And so my whole thing, and I studied with a lot of people, but one of my favorite classes coming up, I worked with Bill Duke a couple of times. And his thing is always about creating your own content, building your own tribe, and bringing in guests to help mentor actors in class. And so I'm mimicking that model, and it's a really good model. And it makes us very unique as well. So,
Mm. And speaking of
yeah.
which, what has it been like to work with Bill Duke? Did you work with him on? I believe he was affiliated with. Which one was it? The Family Business or 2 Degrees? Bill Duke.
Bill acted in 2 Degrees as a favor to me.
Oh,
But I've never really worked with Bill as an actor. I've worked with him in his nonprofit, the Bill Duke Media Foundation, and we did media and financial literacy for young people in Los Angeles. So I
mm.
did that for a few years. I was on his board of directors for his nonprofit, but I've never worked in a film with him.
So, in one sentence, and just knowing him, what would you like to share with our audience about Bill Duke?
Oh,
Much is said
the
about
the most generous, most supportive person in my career, bar none, except maybe my mama and my wife.
him.
But even there is questionable
Good
because
answer.
Bill is very supportive. He's really supportive. This dude, he comes to my birthday parties. He comes to my wife's birthday parties. He comes to plays I'm in. He acts in my silly digital series, doing silly stuff I ask him to do. He's my brother. He's my family.
Beautiful.
So
Very supportive.
yeah,
Love,
yeah,
love to
yeah.
that.
So and just just one of the many kinds of serendipitous events and people that I've met along the way that have really blessed my journey in this industry.
And
You know.
speaking of that, we were just
Hmm.
talking about that during the break. Who else has been so influential? You were mentioning that during the break, and I think that is so important. Do you want to share that with us? Who was
Ah,
influential in your career and just made it
there are some
happen?
people who are more hands-on, like Bill has been very hands-on and personal. But there are others who influenced me. I mean, Sidney Poitier, of course, when I was first starting out, well, not when I was starting out, but as a young person, Jack Lemmon was a huge someone who I really, really admired. Sean Connery, of course, the James Bond movies. But then later on, Glenn Turman was also a huge influence. I happen to know Glenn. I mean, we ain't tight, but we know each other. And to know him and be able to call him every now and then is really a full circle for me because I'm a huge Glenn Turman fan. Huge, huge.
Good. Understood.
So he was very influential for me. And even to this day, I learned so much from watching him work. I did a
Absolutely.
play with him back in the 90s. He and I worked together on the play. And that's how I
Hmm.
met him at first, originally. But I
Hmm.
have yet to work with him in the television or film, and which is really my dream, is to work with him in a feature or on television.
Yeah, well, he told it all, starting out with Cooley High and working his
Hmm.
way all the way up to so many different projects.
Right.
Incredible, the talent and the abilities. And so
But
we're
there's
gonna.
lots of people who've influenced me though. I mean, those are the ones that off the top of my head, but there's many others.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Well, we're gonna take another break, and when we come back, we're gonna talk about 2 degrees.
Okay.
So sit tight, and everybody, you're watching Mr. Carl. Can I say Russo Gilliard? Do you like
Well, you
Russo?
can. I mean, it's my middle name. Oh, look at those balloons. Look at that. Why is it doing
I
that?
love it. I love it. All right, and there it is. You deserve the balloons. This is your day. We're
It's
celebrating Carl Russo Gilliard right here on Variety Talk. We'll be back in a moment.
yeah.
Hi, I'm Charlotte Atkinson, financial consultant with Gnostic Solutions, powered by Appreciation Financial. I'm personally here today to invite you to learn more about financial empowerment. In today's world, financial literacy is the key to success. And we equipped you with the information that you're going to need and that knowledge you're going to need too. Financial literacy is not just about the numbers because it's about your hopes, your dreams, and your family's future. You are unique, so we will make a unique game plan just for you and your family. The tools that we're going to be able to provide you is how to get out of debt, how to plan for retirement, where you should be investing, and so then you can stay retired and help your family's future get better. I would love to give a huge shout out to the Variety Talks for their new fall season that's coming up. Again, this is Charlotte Atkinson, and you can reach me at 937-901-5686 or at Charlotte at Nosnicta Solutions. Again, no business or family is left behind with Nosnicta Solutions.
All right, everybody, we're back. You're watching Variety Talk Live, and I'm your host, Linda Leak, and we've got the one, the only, celebrating Mr. Carl Gilliard right here, and
Frame me
we are
up,
so
baby. Frame me up. Yeah.
Thanks for joining us, Carl. It is our honor to have you on and sharing with us the stories and your history, and which is Black history, and just there's so much to talk about, but we want to make sure that we get 2 degrees out there because that's your baby. And during the
Yeah.
break,
They don't come
and
much blacker than me, Linda, but go ahead.
why don't you share with us what you were talking about on the commercial about how we got to the 2 degrees and
Okay,
who
so
inspired?
yeah, so I one thing about being an artist is that my art and everybody's art is fueled by our humanity. You know what happens in our lives and stuff. And through a series of events, people would always talk about how I knew everybody or everybody knew me. So that's where the name 2 Degrees came from. 2 Degrees of Carl, which actually less than that in terms of Black Hollywood, but 2 Degrees sounded good. And so at the time that I created the show, I was had been going through a divorce, and so the whole first season kind of deal. It's a comedy though; it's not serious. It's a very very light comedy. I kind of deal with it's a semi autobiographical account of what happened to me during the time I was going through my divorce. And the first season, I deal with that. I deal with it, and everybody in the show plays themselves. And so my name is Carl Gilliard in the show, and everybody in the show uses their own name, but they occupy certain parts of the narrative. For example, there's a guy in the show, his name is Elliot. It's played by Elliot Woods. He uses his whole name in the show, but the part he plays is not really what Elliot is in my life. He plays a guy who we don't get along in the show.
Mm-hmm.
You see, and that's
Mm-hmm.
the charm of the show. Is it's kind of a scripted improv. It's funny, and I'm always just one step behind, and
Mm-hmm.
just always put my foot in my mouth, and just a total fool. So I kind of pattern have a character in there that's patterned loosely after my second wife. Loosely. It's not on the nose at all. Not at all. But just loosely, just some plot points. Most of the show is about me and what I was going through, and it's funny. It's not serious. I just take some of my neuroses and some of the things that are in my head, and I blow them up into comedy in these situations, and I bring people, my friends, to do the show with me. So there's some name people who that are in the first season, like Michael T. Williamson, Kalita Smith, Wendy Raquel Robinson, Bill Duke. Um, oh gosh, I said Kalita Smith, Wendy, Bill, Sean Blakemore, William L. Johnson, Kiki Haynes. I'm missing somebody. Um,
I
but
love Wendy Raquel. She's
yeah,
great. She's
Wendy did episode 4, season 1, episode 4. So, and I've known Wendy for like 30 years.
mm,
So, and most of the people in the show are friends of mine. They're all, in fact, almost the entire cast are friends of mine,
I
which kind
understand.
of ties into the theme of the show, and it's tied into also. I think it's why this show is good. Is because everybody in the show we all know each other, we all are friends, and then they all know me. I'm like the center piece of the show, and they all
Mhm.
have their own opinions of me, and some of them aren't so favorable, but it's funny because I don't play it seriously. Um so the first season we did very, very cheaply. I mean, literally it was very, very cheap. I had no money. And the second season I had a little more money, just a little more money. And in that season, I had Vanessa Estelle Williams, I had Tico Wells from the Five Heartbeats, I had Miguel Nunez was in it, and great actors like Christine Horn and Trisha Mann Grant, and just AJ Sanders, and of course my crew, Tony Winters and Richard Whiten, and of
Oh.
course Elliot Woods. So I had my personal crew that was in it, and just it's Shelley Robertson plays LaDonna, and she's like my main antagonist, and she
Hmm.
plays my ex-wife, and she's just hilarious. This show is funny. I think it's funny. So I don't know if
Now,
anybody's gonna think it's funny, but I think it's pretty funny. So that's it. So I'm trying to repackage it now, and I renamed the show Black Famous,
Black famous. Okay.
which I think is a better name for the show. Yeah,
Okay.
than 2 Degrees. 2 Degrees is more of an inside of my head thing because, you know, based on the fact that I know people and people know me. But people are like, what does that mean? 2 Degrees. But when you say Black Famous, I know what that means. Right.
So that
So
is very creative to be able to take it and repackage it as well. That's pretty
mhm.
awesome. I
Yeah.
have heard you refer to it as a black curb your enthusiasm.
That's what people who see it, that's what they say. Say it reminds them of a black Curb. And that's
Hmm.
that's really a high praise because I love Curb. And I
Yep.
guess I was more influenced by it than I think,
Hmm.
but I love Curb. Curb is freaking genius. It's a
Yeah.
genius. Yeah.
So where will we be able to find it? Is it still in construction, under construction, or
It's
give
been
us some?
I shot 2 seasons already, and it's under the name 2 Degrees. It's on the Brick TV right now.
Okay.
Um and of course the Brick is a partner, they're a production partner. So, wherever I go with the show, even under a different name, they're a partner. So um but yeah.
Okay. Very
But
good.
if
Well,
you want to see it, it's if you want to see it, it's on the Brick TV .com.
all
And
right.
it's a subscription service. It's a great platform. They have all these black movies on there. I mean, literally just any black movie you want to see is on there. And you can see one episode on YouTube. So I have a channel on YouTube. It's called Black
Mhm.
Famous Series, I think. I think it's Black Famous Series on YouTube. And there is one episode If you go to the live part of it, you'll see like the different, things and hit live. There's one episode there. It's called, the name of the episode is I'm Done with Sisters.
Oh no!
I'm done with sisters. I can never be done with sisters, but when you understand what the character's gone through, yeah, he's done with sisters.
I'm going to make that one first before I even watch 2 Degrees.
Yeah,
Okay.
no, it's the same. It's 2 degrees. It's 2 degrees. It's the
Oh, it
same
is.
show. It's the
Oh, it's
same
just
show. Yeah, it's the same show. I just renamed it.
okay. Got it. Got it.
Mhm.
Got it.
Same
How
show.
interesting. Well, you know what? We definitely have to make sure we check out all of your work because there's Coach Carter, there's Chat Room, there's Inception, there's Queens of Christmas, there's
Oh yeah,
Contact.
that was great. That one just came out a couple of months ago.
See, so there's so much that for those who haven't been following you, certainly need to start doing that. And I want to
Mhm.
encourage everybody, young, old, I don't care what age you're trying to get out there and get into the industry. I want to encourage everyone to reach out to you. And I'm sure that you have online courses, even if they're not in Atlanta, where
Yes.
you support one another. They can learn from you, and then you can give so much back to the community for which this is part of your purpose and your desire to do so. How can people contact you to be able to do that?
Well, my website is gilliardmedia.tv. Gilliardmedia.tv. And then Instagram, Facebook's my name. Carl Gilliard. Gilliard, Carl Gilliard. And my acting class also on Instagram is Carl Gilliard Actors Intensive. Carl Gilliard Actors Intensive, all one word. And then Black Famous Series on Instagram. And Black
Uh,
Famous Series on Facebook. I mean, is this too much? Are you writing this down, Linda? It's a lot too.
that's the great deal with the glory of technology. All we have to do is hit that button and press rewind.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, I'm just so happy to have your wonderful smiling face on with us today and to share with us in purpose, and especially a Chicago homeboy. And so, speaking of which, before we go, I want to find out what was the best restaurant, whether it's fast food, slow food, out of Chicago, since that was one of our common denominators was great food out of Chicago. What was the best for you?
Wow.
That's a hard.
I have not been to Chicago now in about 3 years. My mom moved from Chicago to Detroit 2 years ago. When I go to Chicago, don't judge me. I'm going to show my Negro side. I love Harold's fried chicken
Well, there you go.
with hot sauce, but
Oh,
there's lots of great restaurants in Chicago. For
hey, but let
example, the pizza place. Wow, I can't
Mhm.
think of this pizza place right now. There's
Geno's,
Giordano's for sure, but not Giordano's. Hmm?
uh,
What you-
uh, Geno's East or West or
Nope, that's good.
Maggiano's.
That's
Uh,
good. But there's another joint, and it's so
Gordo's,
good that I order it from here, and they deliver it to you in a
Home
frozen
Run
like,
Inn, Home Run
huh?
Inn, Home Run Inn Pizza, Home Run
No,
Inn. Wow.
no.
See, there's so many. There's so many.
But this one here, it's actually a very famous one, and I can never remember the name of it. It's so good that I've done commercials for it on social media.
Wow. No,
I've got these videos. I've done these videos. It's so good
well, I'll
because
tell you.
because because
I'll
the
share.
the 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 crust tastes
Oh,
like cornbread.
go ahead. Go ahead.
The crust of the pizza tastes like cornbread, and it's deep dish. It is so good.
I know
Yeah.
the one you're talking about. I think though that's not Maggiano's or something like
Nope.
that.
Nope. But they all are deep dish. They
Yeah,
all have their own. It's plenty of Chicago style deep dish pizza places,
yeah. I did
and
not
they're all
like.
good. They're all good.
Yeah,
But this
yeah.
one in particular, I cannot remember the name of it. And I keep wanting to say Jody Maroney's. It's not Jody Maroney's. That's a sausage place in L.A. Um,
Well, I'll tell you while you're thinking of it. I want to share a story with you. I just got back from Chicago because my uncle passed away, so I came back
oh,
from
okay.
went for the funeral. And I came back, and I don't know where this came from, but I just had a taste for barbecue chicken
Mm-hmm.
and
Mm-hmm.
barbecue chicken, but I wanted it smothered in barbecue sauce, and I wanted
Right.
fries on top of that, and I wanted that coleslaw and the white bread that they pack on top of it.
Right. 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 Oh my God. Yes, that's the good. Whoa. 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 Here it is. Lou Malnati. I had to look it up.
Oh
That's the name of it.
my God, that
Lou
look,
Malnati.
okay, yeah, I
But what
was
you just described, the chicken, that's what happens with the Harold's chicken.
that's
They put they put that white bread on top of it,
yeah, yeah,
and they put the hot sauce on. They drench the
yeah.
hot sauce on there. Woo,
And I
doggy.
was
Ain't nothing better than that.
nothing
Mm-mm.
like it, nothing like it, and I couldn't understand. I'm like, why am I having this craving for this food? And I guess I was in Chicago and I didn't get it, so
Hmm. Right,
I
right,
made
right.
sure I ordered it, and just ordered it right after I got home. But that was the
Hmm.
weirdest. I had that craving, so don't
Right.
feel badly about Harold's at all. That's a
I love
Harold's.
Harold. I love
That's
Harold's.
a Chicago experience.
They got Harold's in they got Harold's in L.A. too. It's on Hollywood Boulevard. And it's pretty good. The only problem is that they, the wings they give you the wing dinner is like $27. Are you crazy?
Wow, no
Like
kidding.
$27 for the wing dinner in LA on Hollywood Boulevard.
That's amazing. Well, okay. Well, we don't want to get Harold's mad at us, but
I don't care. They know they $27. I ain't lying on them. Sure. I
but
don't
I do
care.
understand the plight.
Right.
So anyway, with all of that being said, you got anything else you want to share with us that you're promoting or everybody needs to check out before we leave you?
Well, my acting class is a thing. So, if you are in Atlanta and you need a good, solid in-person class, I'm the guy. GilliardMedia.tv. If you want to study virtually, I do have a virtual class on Tuesday, primarily for people who are not in Atlanta. I don't prefer virtual, but I can't go to Chicago or I can't go to Minnesota and teach acting. So that's the next best thing. So we do have a virtual class on Tuesday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So, I mean, I think that's all.
And
Queens of
every
Christmas, you mentioned that is on BET Plus. The Family Business, it's on BET Plus. Um, it's probably something I'm not thinking of, but follow me
well,
on all the social media if you'd like. I'm an ex Carl Gilliard. We went through it all already. We've
well,
been through all of it already.
we're
If
happy
you know my name, you can find me.
that I was going to say that. All they have to do is
Yeah.
follow, and everything that we forgot to talk about, it's right there,
Right.
and they
Hmm.
can just jump right in.
Right.
So,
Right.
um, this is so important to me. This time of Black History,
Hmm.
and I'm particularly emotional about it, and so it's important to me to have people who are making a dent in history, who have made a dent in history, um, so that those who are coming along, those who may have to struggle and may not, but at least they will have an opportunity to meet someone like yourself who has done it. And so, with that being said, we just honor you today and
Thank you.
thank you for being such a part of the entertainment world and Black history. And
Hmm.
everybody, make sure you check out Carl Gilliard, give him a call, go on his website, check out everything that's going on, and be a part. So, all right. Thanks, Carl. Thanks for joining us today, especially for lightening things up in the middle of my flu or whatever this is. So, I appreciate it so much. And hey, happy Black History.
Happy Black History. Happy blackity black. Look at me. This is what I'm talking about. This is what I'm saying. Can't get no blacker than this, baby. Well, no, I don't think. I'm the blackest brother I know.
Are you the blackest brother you know?
No, Glenn's pretty black. Glenn Turman, he's pretty black. Yeah. Bill Duke is really black. Bill may be blacker than me. But I think that's it.
Anyway, we are leaving. And
They gonna kill me. And I don't care, okay? I got locks on my door, okay? You can't get in my house. And
and,
you can't beat me running. None of them dudes can. So there you go.
and thank you for bringing all the light
Okay.
today. We appreciate you. All
Oh,
right,
thank you
Carl.
for having me, Linda.
Thanks again. And blessings, peace and blessings to you.
Peace.
All
Two
right.
fingers. Bye.